Welcome, 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 everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. My name is Pavel, with my very kind and very prepared colleague and co-host, Evan Reverts. Evan, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, thanks.
I
I'm
always
wondering
got to
what you
use a
got up your
different
sleeve,
word every
man.
single time. My
It-
wonderful co-host.
well,
So
well, you know, and I was
I'm gonna
thinking,
change it up.
it's just like when we start the show, I am always thinking, what's he up to? He's really kind right now. He must be up to something. It's been a great week. It's been a really good week, especially in comparison to the previous two. Looking forward to tonight's show, getting some good conversation in. And looks like next week we'll have Hart Levine on, just wrapping up a couple small details, guys from Puckpedia. So I guess that's a good spot to maybe give a little plug in here and add to what we have going on out there. Go ahead, Pavel.
For sure. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are on Facebook, on YouTube. We are on X/Twitter. We are on Instagram. So give us a follow and subscribe. It really does help us and it goes a long way. We appreciate all the valid discussions, shout outs, people reaching out to us. It's been really amazing. So make sure to like this video. We always appreciate it. It does go a long way. Yeah, it's been a crazy good week. We've had a lot going on in the NHL, Evan. There's been a lot happening, but it cannot be understated how incredible it has been to our, of course, sponsors who have been helping with us. So Puckpedia, Hart Levine's going to be on next week. Northern Michigan Warhouse. They had some big games over the last weekend, which was really fun to see. Penny Billionaires, you love that intro song? That's what's playing at the beginning. JR Web Design. You need a space to be creative and designed. Check out JR Web Design. And of course, Flow Hockey and the Pro Hockey Group. We love the partnerships we have. If you want to partner with us, please feel free to reach out to us at Two Guys and Hockey Talk at gmail.com. We love talking to you guys. We love hearing from you. We love connecting and building. But yeah, busy week around the NHL. And I guess we should get started first, Evan, with injury woes because it's been quite chaotic, and no other than the West Coast, Vancouver Canucks, Thatcher Demko is now out once again. Now, he's coming off that awkward kind of thing versus the game versus Columbus, in which also Quinn Hughes also looked like he got injured or went off the ice. He was able to skate off.
Yeah.
So you always take that as a positive. Of course, when teams say, it's undisclosed or it's upper body or lower body, it could be a myriad of things, especially given, and we'll get into the gambling side of it later. If players or people are betting on these games and saying, hey, are the Vancouver Canucks going to make the postseason? Well, you need a healthy Demko. So what can you tell us about Thatcher Demko? Because it looks like he's kind of potentially going to be back, but we don't know for sure, right?
Right. So right now, from most reports that are out there right now, what we're actually hearing is this is just temporary. There's nothing to it much. But is this the same injury as he's had before? Sorry, guys, I'm just sending out some texts here last minute and get some correspondence. Is this the same injury or not? We're not getting any official answer on this right now. I don't think it is. And so I think it's just a matter of wait and see. This is really hard, I think, right now for the Vancouver Canucks fans because they're sitting in anticipation like, we don't have a chance if Demko's gone again. That's the big wait and see. So let's hope that they actually figure something out. From the best of our understanding, this injury is not the same as his previous one. So that would be great because now if I could be wrong on this, and correct me, he had a muscle tear on his popliteus. I think it was what it was called. That's way back from game one in Nashville the year and a half ago. This is just seemingly maintenance on something like you just said. So that's the good news. Hopefully we're being told the correct news.
100%. And I believe the other thing that was kind of indicated is that through Elliot Freeman on the 32 Thoughts is that the organization, the Vancouver Canucks organization, has indicated that they are willing to go through with this with Demko's injuries and are prepared for the worst. I mean, they did sign Lankinen to that 5-year extension, so they know what they're getting into. They're expecting for him to kind of push through, and they have some of the best medical staff available, so they probably know how to address this, how to treat it, and Demko himself would probably know what's the best way to kind of mitigate or minimize the aggression of the injury so it doesn't hurt him more or aggravate it further, or that he's able to play at the elite level without harming it further. So, it's things like that. And speaking of another Canadian team, we saw a bit of a blowout with the Toronto Maple Leafs by the Boston Bruins. So I'm sure our friend Grant Cummings is very happy with where his Bruins are at, because without Patrice Bergeron, without Brad Marchand, without Zdeno Chara, who was in the Hockey Hall of Fame over the past weekend, I mean, this team has really had to find its identity. And so they're coming off this 5-3 win. But what was kind of the storyline is Zadorov had his way with a few of the players, and he kind of cross-checked Matthews into the boards. And of course, Matthews had to go after him a little bit and protect himself. Nobody stepped in until later on. Domi tried to fight Zadorov, of which afterwards in the post press conference, Zadorov said he doesn't fight buddies that he played with and won with. So really, I wanted to get your take on what does the Toronto Maple Leafs do now without their captain? Because this seems like he may or may not play against LA tomorrow night. He could be out for a while. And he's had a hard time going with it this year, as have the Toronto Maple Leafs, that they're looking on the outside in for the postseason at 8-1. Go ahead, Evan.
I think the benefit this year is the Eastern Conference is so close. The parity right now between last place and top place. I mean, when you talk, what's the point range right now? 8 points, I think, is all you got. 4 games or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. But one of the things that I think that I'm most concerned about is they never replaced Marner. We've said this over and over. I know a lot of people said, well, you take his salary and just get a lot of depth players. It doesn't work. Like, I know all this talk, even in places when Colorado and in Edmonton, that, you can't have these top star players and just throw in guys. Well, yes, you can. And the proof of it is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has done it again and again. And what do they do this year? With 2 old guys, we're 2 guys, and they're 2 old guys, even though we're older. Well, actually, you're not. I am. Between us, we're older. But essentially, if you think about this, right? I got 2 guys at their age, and yet they're working with guys like Kindle and Brazeau, and I guess guys are Ricard Raquel and that. But they're fixers. They're depth players. And you can. I disagree with it. If you got 3-4 key good quality players, you just got to be good at development for the rest when you're drafting and getting guys low end first round or trading that pick away and getting second. And find them in the NCAA. Find them in Europe. That's one of the things really.
Yeah, and Lost Truckers mentioning Avs finally replaced Kadri with Natchez, I believe she's trying to implement or talk about, and he's looking great. I agree, but I think Kadri wasn't being replaced by Natchez. It was Rantanen that they were trying to replace. So that's kind of what's been put there.
I think Brock Nelson is a replacement for Kadri.
Yes,
essentially.
correct. Yeah. And they've gone through quite a few, right? Because they went a few trades through their time frame ever since losing him. So it's been tough for them. I mean, they brought in Drouin, and he was vouched for by McKinnon, who they played together when they were younger and prospects. It didn't pan out. I mean, he's doing well. I believe in the island, but he really kind of revitalized career because he struggled in Montreal and really just had a hard time going. But
if we're fair to things, though, when he was in Montreal, that became a mess for his mental health. There was a lot of things behind the scenes, and I think the change to work with McKinnon, learn some of the habits again, get back on track has been good. And this move probably was a healthy move, where he's kind of not in the limelight, because Colorado, you're still in the limelight.
Yeah. And speaking of Colorado, it was indicated that also Valery Nichushkin, he's out for a little bit, lower body, week to week. That often means 2 to 3 weeks. He'll be out at least. Excuse me. And they're flying on all cylinders. I think Colorado right now is probably the best team in the West, if not one of the best in the league.
The NHL.
But they're flying in high numbers. They're having a hell of a time, especially that big victory over the weekend versus the Oilers, which was kind of a shellacking. But to get back to Toronto quickly before we jump over, I think there's already rumblings about what does this mean for Craig Berube? Because, the fan base is not going to sit idly by as they squander away another season for what? Especially after what the Jays did this year. I think they're looking for a spark, and Craig Berube's got to find it. Stolars, I know, has been injured. He may or may not get back. Another lingering injury. Joseph Woll potentially could start versus Chicago this weekend, so that's on the radar. But again, he's been out of the game for a while. How ready will he be? I mean, Dennis Hildeby, Held the Beast, as his nickname. He's proven to be good, but he's a 3G goalie. So, it's going to be tough to see what happens. Keep an eye on Toronto because there's got to be something moved. And they got a lot of bodies, Evan. They got to move. You got Kaller Yonkro. Potentially Nick Robertson is on the move, even though he's really filled in. With Chris Tanev out, you got to find something on the back end because Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been your best defenseman so far, right? And Morgan Riley's struggling. And would that be somebody that Toronto would consider trading, right? So food for thought. It's definitely interesting in the world of Toronto.
I just don't think Trey Living is bold enough to make some of those moves, like a Morgan Riley, kind of a guy that's been a staple. I know he's not his guy, but I think he's connected well in the community. He's been considered a top-end defenseman, but it's a good contract to be able to send out. You're getting what you're paying for, essentially, in today's salary, basically, with what we're working with. So, this will be quite interesting. I'm quite interesting in what their moves are going to be, but I think they'll make the playoffs, but I'm just worried what will they be able to do, and I can't imagine what that Maple Leafs fans will rip that building apart piece by piece, chair by chair, and drinks will be everywhere. In fact, they might actually have enough drinks thrown on the ice that they could actually run a layer of beer across the top of that rink if they don't start pulling this thing together.
And speaking of teams that are playing tonight, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Rangers, you guys could be checking that out right now. But Tampa Bay is dealing with their own injury, including Victor Hedman, their top defenseman and captain, as well as Ryan McDonough, who he's a trooper. He's a battler. So that missing those two guys on the back end is going to really hurt that team. And John Cooper trying to find a way to kind of stave off another bad start, because they did have a bad start, and start rolling again because they've been kind of all over the place. And he's also going to be coaching Team Canada, so there'll be some action there. And speaking of which, there was a global series in Sweden that has been announced. It looms around November 14th to the 16th. Is that correct, Evan?
Yeah, that's what in the next few days. If I'm wrong in my reporting there, guys, correct it. Definitely feel free to correct it, but I believe it's coming up next few days here.
And just some players this season, just some interesting numbers that have kind of been happening with most defensive zone giveaways, according to Money Puck. So at number one is Rasmus Dahlin.
Whoa, number one defenseman. Maybe that's one of the issues that Buffalo has. Just a thought.
100%. I know he's gone through a lot this year with his girlfriend having a heart attack, I believe it was. So that was a little bit.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
I never heard that. Yeah,
that was at the beginning of the season where it just happened. And fortunately, the staff, wherever they were, I can't remember the location, addressed it and helped her and really treated them well. So they were very thankful. Yeah, that was a whole thing. So. I know she's looking at long-term treatment here with more medical tests. I don't know all the details, but we wish them all the best. But again, he's not in the right mindset. And again, another down year for Buffalo, although many fans of other teams and hockey fans would say, it's Buffalo. The league is a worse place when Buffalo is out of the playoffs. You need Buffalo in the playoffs. And after a beautiful Alexander McGillney ceremony, and if you guys haven't watched it, go watch the speech he gave for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was incredible. And to have that, the team should galvanize around that and really put it together for McGillney to actually just get to the postseason and make a statement. That's what I see. But go ahead.
Hey, so let's take a moment here. I know we got stuff that you're hitting on. Let's take a moment and what do you guys all out there think about this? So if you haven't seen it, you got to go check it out. You'll be able to answer. But what I noticed, Pavel, I see different people mentioning, and so they're like, are you serious? All he did was promote Soviet hockey. Now, first of all, I've corrected people. It's not Soviet hockey. It's Russia hockey. I get it. They're at war, and you think they're still like the Soviet Union. They're not the Soviet Union. You may not like the government, you may not like the war that they're started and what they're in and what they're doing, but the bottom line is Mogilny is in Russia. He is going to acknowledge the things that got him to be who he is. And so I was okay with him giving recognition to all of his development to get him there. And I don't think he's going to have said, oh, yeah, when I was 18, I defected. I left the Soviet Union, when he's living in Russia and there's a war on. Would you agree or disagree?
I 100% agree. I think moving that all aside, because the world has changed even in the time since he was in the league and when he deflected over, I think you have to understand that as a body for hockey, Russia has produced some incredible talent to the point where it has forced, North America, Canada, and U.S. to really step up their game, to really learn how to, play better. And let's not forget, Evan, the amount of players now in the NHL that are Russian that probably looked up to players like Alexander Mogilny, amongst other legends, right? Yeah. I mean, even Ovechkin, even though he's a little, he's still in the league, or Evgeny Malkin, Sergei Fedorov, you go back even earlier, just name them, right? And they paved the way for players like Kucherov, who play the way they do, who play for like Pavel Datsyuk and what he was able to do in the league with the Red Wings when he was right. Around. It just you grow the game in that capacity, right? And Russia knows how to create talented players. Look at the goalies. A lot of the goalies, we talked about it last season, are coming over from Russia. Shesterkin, Sorokin, Vasilevsky's still playing well. These aren't nobodies. These are household names in the world of hockey. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's like even anything outside of North America. Like America's doing a good job at producing a few here and there. But Sweden constantly producing. Finland constantly producing. Russia always producing. Russia has always been, not always, most of their entire existence has literally the Russian goalie machine. After Tretiak, I think they went about 15 to 17 years struggling to build their goalies, but they were building forwards. I think the area that they have not always excelled in out of Russia is defensemen. That has not been as common. They're incredibly good at forwards and goalies, and especially center.
Well, Gonchar, Sergachev, players like that.
But if you take the number of Russian players and how many are like Hall of Fame players is what I'm referring to, right? I mean,
obviously, I would look at Gonchar as somebody who kind of stood the.
Absolutely. Konstantinov. But we probably can't name all-star Hall of Fame kind of guys more than 10, more than 12. Whereas we can probably go through about 30 right now off the top of our head for forwards. I guess that's kind of my.
I think it goes to show you he should have been in the Hall of Fame a while back. It was, it ended up working that he got in. So great for him. We're glad to have him there. I think there's been an advocacy from almost the entire hockey world for Mogilny to be in for what he did. You can't deny his past, regardless of what the current state of affairs is, because he grew up in a time where it was much more different than what it is now. So the fact that he was known as the defector should, that itself as a word means a lot. It has weight. And so you go to show. Go ahead.
And don't you love it that he actually goes back home when it's no longer the Soviet Union? I think that, and again, forget about what's going on there, right? So, okay, let's go on.
Awesome. So we were talking about some of the players with most giveaways, and Jordan says Nachos, but I think he's referring to what the Lost Trucker was talking about with Natchez. So just a misspelling there.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if anyone's following, you read anything from Jordan or Lost Trucker /Zill, you will notice they have a little ribbing back and forth. It's kind of like a hockey thing.
They have their own riff going on. We've created animosity amongst the fan base. So, so Kevin Ball at number 2, Erik Karlsson at number 3. Even though he's been playing well for Pittsburgh this year, Morgan Riley. Of course, we talked about
defensive liability still, though. I think that's the key, right?
He is, and of course, Chris Letang also. Getting older, he doesn't have the foot speed as he used to. He's gone through quite a bit in terms of his own physicality. So, of course. It's very impressive that he's still playing. You just wonder if he's able to compete as much with some of the younger guys, right? He has the size, he's physical, but you see a lot of the league get younger and more speed is what is often infused. Along with Zadorov, Klevin, Nico Mikola, Esa Lindell, and Travis Sanheim of the Philadelphia Flyers. So some interesting numbers there. Lost Trucker says Kindle is surprised, but these things change. People figure out systems. They get better. They tighten up. Coaches work with players. They figure out how best to perform. And these numbers and, of course, these statistics will change. What I did want to get into, Evan, is that when we talk about statistics, we talk about gambling. And there's been a bit of a scandal in the last little bit here. And it sounds like the NHL is reviewing the claims against Ottawa's Arthur Kaliev over alleged debts that he owed not only to players, but other people in his orbit in the LA organization. And it was one of the reasons he got traded, including his ex-girlfriend, who has come forward with kind of the story about what's been going on. So the NHL is reviewing all this. It sounds like so far, according to what we've heard, everything is under the books or by the books, nothing against the NHL in betting, like we saw with Shane Pinto and the betting. But the NHL is keeping a close eye, especially since we talked about the NBA scandal. And I think there was an NFL one right afterwards about, the FBI cracking down on gambling rings and things of that nature. Any comment?
We knew this was going to happen when they brought hockey in and they opened it up to gambling. That was going to be an issue. And so the NHL is no different than NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball. You're going to have, in fact, I think there's more going on than they actually realize of things around this. And I know they're trying to keep a tight lid on it. But if they don't get outed by people close to them, how are they going to know? How will they know? Do they got algorithms out there, software that's finding their names connected to gambling websites or companies? I don't know, man. It's but I do worry about things being fixed in the future at some point, especially by players that might get 8 minutes ice time, careers ending, and they can make some money in the playoffs. You just wonder. There's my conspiracy.
Go ahead.
No, that's my conspiracy.
Oh, that's your conspiracy. I think that when the NHL got into this gambling, and of course the revenue is there, but it's really shined a spotlight on the need for a lot of information to be visible, because if people, like I said, are trying to make a bet and say, hey, is Demko going to play? Is Matthews going to play? Is Stolarz going to be in net for Toronto? That's going to determine the betting. And we are inundated with it constantly in between periods while the game is going on. Always something, the FanDuel. And I've seen enough lives be ruined by gambling that I try not to partake in it myself. I think that, what you do with your life is your business with your money, but I've just seen it have a negative impact on a lot of people. And I can't see the story dying down. And if anything, it'll continue to ramp up as the league evolves with the gambling revenue that's been coming in. And mark my words, it's growing, Evan. The bet app is growing. All those sites are growing. So you're only going to see more and more of it. So we hope that everything is okay, because Kaliev was a big piece in that trade this offseason for Jordan Spence. But, if he's not able to play, or if this impacts Ottawa in any way.
Now, is that not the defaulted draft pick that they lose this coming season?
I believe so.
Ottawa loses a draft pick. Because
no, I thought it was last year that they gave it up.
Oh, no, they have a defaulted pick this year.
Then it's this year. Yeah, then it's this year.
Okay.
Yeah. For that scandal that happened. Now, no easy way to transition this, but you like redrafting. You like your Revs top 15. So I know you had a few questions about the 2023 NHL entry draft. Do you want to kind of take us through it?
Yeah, let's pull them up. This is for you, buddy. Let's see what you can do. You can do this out there if you guys are following. Go ahead and you can just put last name, first name, whatever, first and just use first or last, whatever easiest. Let's redraft. So, and I made sure I didn't put them in any particular order so you couldn't follow or cheat or something. If you were drafting today and doing a redraft, And I'm just going to take these 5 players who have been probably the most success: Will Smith, Adam Fantilli, Connor Bedard, Matvey Michkov, Moffy, as our good friend Jamie Vasco of the Flyers Nitty Gritty beat writer down in Philadelphia calls him, and this year's Carson, Leo Carson. I see that I made a mistake on the piece. Let me fix this because that bugs me. So, but anyway, Carlson. So Carlson is like having a knockout season, buddy. And so I want to know, what do you think? What do you think?
So I'm sticking with Bedard as my first. I am.
Okay.
He's really turned it on this year. Last year was a sophomore slump. He's going into a contract year. He's really proving himself. He's trying to make Team Canada, and he potentially could. We don't know yet. Him and Celebrini have been making rounds about potentially being that extra forward there. So I'm not moving Connor Bedard off that list.
Okay.
The second one. This is a tough one because I like Leo Carlson, and I think he's been dynamite, and I know he went second. But I still believe I would go with potentially Will Smith. Will Smith at second. And the reason being is because he has so much great chemistry with Celebrini that it just goes to show you how much fun it is. Now, then Carlson would be my third. Fantilli would still be my fourth because, he plays in a very defensive system in Columbus. And Michkov, he would still be later on for me, fifth. I know he went seventh, but I still have him last in this draft. And the only reason
would you actually put him as low as seventh? Would you put anybody ahead of him, like Reinbacher? I'm just looking at some of the guys that went ahead of him.
So I would, but the challenge is in that draft, like Ryan Leonard. He's had some great success with the Hershey Bears, and he's played for Washington Capitals and really fit in nicely. You look at anybody else there, no one really stands out so far that's made that big of an impact, right? I'm looking through the name. Easton Cowan, he hasn't really been an opportunity to prove himself as a potential third C. Tom Willander, he's kind of been in and out of the lineup. Brandon Yeager, I think he's injured right now, so he hasn't even had a chance to play. You look at some of the other names. Quentin
wasn't a really deep draft for high-end guys as much as we thought it might be.
Zachary Benson, again, I'm yet to see him proving. But again, this could be just playing in a system where your team doesn't have as much confidence or you're struggling as a team, or it's a coaching style. There's so many factors that go into it. But I think the first 5 guys are beyond Reinbacher, who has yet to play a game, are really going to have success. And I include Michkov in that along with Ryan Leonard. Now, Dvorsky has been kind of okay. Again, Benson has had 21 goals and 45 assists in 154 games. So not nothing. But again, Buffalo got a great guy, but you need to surround him with more. So
what's the last trucker got there?
She's got Connor Bedard, Matvey Michkov, Leo Carlson, Will Smith, and Adam Fantilli.
Okay, yeah. I think of any of those folks, I am impressed that Leo has kept up to what we thought he could be in a few years. I knew he was going to be a slow start because he was, as much as I had him ranked higher, I didn't think he'd go that high. But Fantilli, I hear people saying, well, Fantilli's only there because of the fact that in this case, Fantilli plays with Columbus, and Columbus have a system that doesn't work as well. I don't know if I buy into that, though.
So the one thing I would give credit to is Joe Quenneville and his first year back at the bench, and he's really taken this Ducks team and really made them competitive. And, right now, front runner for the Jack Adams with what he's been able to do. And it goes to show you that, Pat Verbeek took that swing, and it's paid off so far. And they're rocking it in the Pacific. They've been an unstoppable thing, including Jacob Trouba, who's had a career year so far. So, again, when your team is rolling, everyone's succeeding. But when your team is like dwindling or in the middle of the pack, it's hard to kind of, showcase yourself. So once you get going, then that's when, the whole team succeeds. So it'll be interesting to see how we finish off the year with all these 5 players, and we'll have to revisit them. But it's been interesting so far. So And in final news, I just wanted to note that David Pasternak hit 400 goals and 401 actually goals in that 5-3 win over Toronto. He is an elite sniper, great player, great just all around guy, super funny. And really, he's really bought into the system. And I like what they're showing because Boston's not going away. They're pesky. And I enjoyed the celebration. I know some people didn't like the fact that people got off the bench. I loved it. You want it, so we'd love to see more of it. But any quick thoughts there before we move over to Rev's top 15?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that they need to enjoy. Like, why can't they be like young boys out on the ice and playing and having a good time and celebrating for like this whole robotic, like, let's not get excited kind of thing. You know what? In the 9-1 shellacking of the Edmonton Oilers, if I'm the Colorado Avalanche, every goal I score over 5, man, I am pumped. I don't care how embarrassed they are. That's on them, dudes. I remember playing in a local senior men's league, rec league, and we were, man, I think it was like 5-1 or 6-1, and the last minute they scored 2-3 more goals. But those goals were sweet. They weren't like chippy, bad goals. They were sweet goals. I'm the goalie being scored on. And I'm like yelling at the guy, that's sweet. You beat me like a running mule. I mean, I think that we got to start loving hockey. Like even bad games, learn to enjoy them. We talked to the Calgary fans the other week there when we had our guest on, Trevor Neufeld. It's like, enjoy the games. Buffalo, you got good players. Enjoy the games. If you're not going to win, find something to enjoy. Like think about junior hockey, how much that happens. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So the only thing I'd say about the Boston Bruins is I know they're doing well, but okay, so you go in, you make the playoffs. You're not making a dent. I'm sorry. They're just not making a dent with that lineup, especially when it comes to hard hitting, close checking hockey. Pasternak is not going to be able to perform the same. And so I have the question. Maybe it's time to trade Pasternak. You could get a fortune. Let Swayman go. You'll get a fortune and do a real rebuild. Or are you going to be like Calgary and be stuck in the middle? This is the problem with Calgary and why they're back right down there again. After like 7 years, they started moving up and they moved too quick. I don't see many teams stick in the middle and stay in the middle and be able to get to the top unless they drop to the bottom. And generally speaking, so
reporting now is coming out of Calgary that Murray Edwards, the owner of the Calgary Flames, doesn't even want to trade Nazem Kadri because he likes him. And it's just like, what's the point, right? Like, because you like him this year. What about next year and the next 10 years down the line? But we'll get into it a little bit later. Right now, we've got Revs top 50.